Hey guys, thanks for joining me on Tanks and Fish. Today's video is the nitrogen cycle. This is a follow-up, kind of a part 2 to our first video of how to set up a freshwater aquarium. Basically, I want to go through the whole process of setting up your aquarium, checking your water, making sure your water's chemistry is set for your fish. That way your fish can thrive. I believe this is probably the hardest part that most new fish hobbyists struggle with. So let's break it down. I'm going to show you 2 different methods of cycling your tank. That way you can get the most successful results. What the nitrogen cycle is basically your tank with your fish feeding, plants decaying, creates ammonia. That ammonia needs to be converted over to nitrites. Nitrites then grow another bacteria that convert it over to nitrates, and from nitrates you need to do water changes to remove those out of your aquarium. So I want to talk about a couple of methods on how to actually achieve this process. So a couple of the equipment you definitely need for this process to know where you're at in the process is going to be a test kit, some sort of test kit. This is the test kit I have, API, Freshwater Master Test Kit, to test my water. There's strips, there's all kinds of test kits that you can buy, so you can actually be checking the water consistently. There's no guessing in it. Buy the test kit. Best thing you can do. A couple of things that you might need: a water conditioner. This one's Seachems Prime that I use. You don't have to use this. There's very many on the market that you can use. As long as it removes the chlorine and any harmful chemicals out of your tap water, so it could be safe for your fish to swim in and live in and thrive in. Next product that is a choice to use, that I like to use, is Stability by Seachems. It's basically bacteria in a bottle that'll help you speed up your nitrogen cycle in your aquarium and help cycle your tank that much faster. You can usually get it set within a week, week and a half. Alright guys, so you got your tank set up, you're ready to start doing your cycling, you got your equipment ready to go. So how do you do your cycling? Method 1 is the fishless cycle. What the fishless cycle entails is having, as the name suggests, no fish in your tank. What you're going to want to do is basically keep an eye on your tank. What you're looking out for is to make sure your ammonia is in there and it is registering on your test kit every single time you test your tank. What you do is you have your tank set up, you're not going to do any water changes. It can take up to a month, month and a half. What you do is you sprinkle a little bit of food in there every couple days and you test your water every couple of days. You're going to notice your ammonia start registering. You want to keep that about 2 parts per million to 3 parts per million. Any higher than that and it can overwhelm any bacterial growth that can be happening in your tank. What you're looking for is that ammonia to start dropping. Eventually it will start dropping. It can take a couple of weeks for you to notice that change. Once that ammonia starts dropping, you're going to notice a rise in nitrites. That nitrite is basically a good thing. You know your tank is moving in the right direction. At that point, new bacteria is being created that's eating up those nitrites, and eventually that's going to turn it into nitrates. Again, this process can take up to a month, but you want to keep an eye on that. I'd suggest probably testing your water every 2 to 3 days. And every 2 to 3 days after you're done testing, sprinkle a little bit of food in there to keep that ammonia in the water. If your ammonia falls to 0 and you still have 0 nitrites, you're not adding enough food in there possibly, or you don't have the proper filtration in there. All the bacteria is just dying off. Just some troubleshooting steps for you there. The process can take anywhere from a couple of weeks to about a month or 2. So again, keep your eye on the tank, test it every 2 to 3 days, and make sure you're adding some form of ammonia. Again, a little bit of flake food from your fish if you already have that. If not, you can just go buy a little jar of it somewhere. The second method we want to talk about is going to be a fish in cycle. I think this is the most common method most fish hobbyists start in. It's also the most dangerous because you have the chance of killing off your fish. But again, most fish hobbyists jump into the hobby this way. So what are you going to do? You got your fish in there, your tank set up. Every 2 days you want to test your tank. You want to make sure your ammonia levels are kept in check, your nitrite levels are kept in check. You do this by testing your water every single day. Once you see your ammonia start building up, you're going to do about a 10 to 20% 8% water change on your tank. Every time you change out any water, make sure you add your water conditioner into it. Until you start seeing that ammonia start dropping, you're going to see the nitrites start building, and eventually your nitrates will build up. How do you know your tank is cycled? When you see nitrites show up in your tank. They're going to go from 0 and they're going to start climbing through the colors on your test kit. A couple of troubleshooting steps if your cycle is not moving along the way that I've explained. Basically, you got to make sure you keep your feedings in check. You got to make sure you're not dumping a whole bunch of food into your tank. You dump too much food, it's going to overwhelm all your bacteria. This is going to be a slow process, so you want to take your time with it and make sure you're doing it right. One, to establish yourself and your fish's health safely. So make sure you're not overfeeding. Make sure you're cleaning your tank regularly and you're using water conditioners for your tank. If you have fish in your tank as well, there is the product Stability that you can actually use to help cycle your tank that much faster. What you basically want to do is set up your tank, put your fish in it, make sure you use your water conditioner, and then you use a product like Stability. It's basically all bacteria in a bottle. You basically put the recommended amount in there every single day, and within a week and week and a half, you'll have a fully established tank. Just make sure you have the proper filtration. The methods I've spoken about are pretty simple steps that you can actually take. A lot of it can be overwhelming at first if you don't know what you're looking at or what you're looking for. But if I've explained here, it's pretty simple as long as you're keeping an eye on your tank. You're testing your water frequently to keep an eye on that ammonia and nitrites. If it starts building up pretty crazy, go ahead and do your water change. Once you see your ammonia drop to 0, your nitrites drop to 0, you'll see your nitrates start going up, which is a good thing, but you don't want to leave those in there. Once it builds up, you do your water change, and that's how you get your nitrates out of your tank. Both methods I've explained are tried and true methods that everybody pretty much uses in the hobby nowadays. Hopefully I've explained this process for you pretty clearly. You can leave me a comment. If you run into any issues with it, I can definitely help you troubleshoot your tank. There's plenty of forums out there that can actually help you as well, that you should probably be joining if you haven't yet. So that's pretty much the entire nitrogen cycle for you guys. It's pretty much a watered down version. So if I helped you with anything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. Any comments, go ahead and leave them below. I'll definitely take a look at those. Again, thanks for joining me here on Tanks and Fish, and we'll see you guys on the next one.